Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I am your host, Joey DeMeglio. And after introducing Peter Laviolette to the media on Tuesday, the Rangers have filled out their coaching staff. Joining me today to talk about it all are my friends, Python and Nick Rose. How's it going, boys?
We're back.
Yes, so good to
Uh,
be the substitute.
Python is in, I don't know where you are. What are you in? Winnipeg?
Winnipeg.
He's in
Your
Winnipeg.
mic quality sounds awful. So I to everybody listening on Spotify, even on YouTube, Python's audio is going to be all staticky whenever he speaks. He's going to sound like a transformer. But we're going to press on.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here to
Have a great
save. I'm
episode.
here to save Pierre-Luc Dubois. Leave me alone. I'm here to get him out of Winnipeg. Hopefully, get him on the first flight to Montreal. Or I might just drive him. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so we're going to go on winter break vacation. We're going to go to Winnipeg, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna go
yeah.
chill out.
I mean, it's snowing right now. I had to wear a jacket and everything outside. I mean, everyone looked at me like I was insane. Everyone was walking around in shorts and a t-shirt while there was ice on the road, and then I was just all dressed up in my North Face and everything. And
Bundled up,
yeah, so I
drinking
don't
a
know.
coffee.
You're all set. We're just waiting for Dubois to say yes to New York and then
That's all we're waiting for.
to take a $1 contract to play in New York.
I don't even know if we could afford that, dude.
Yeah, $1 is too much. How about 50 cents?
That might be closer to reasonable. I think the Rangers cap situation, like they could maybe afford like some value menu stuff from McDonald's. That's about it. Like
Hey,
that's
the cap
maybe
went up
what
a
we can afford.
million. Don't.
Right.
Don't
a whole
forget it.
schmilly.
Yeah, and
We
it's
can
not
sign
going,
someone to an ELC.
and the cap is not going up any more than $1 million. Just got to point that out to everybody.
So exciting. Sick
No.
league.
Yeah,
Sticking
half
to
a
$1
fourth
million.
line,
Yeah.
Sick fucking league.
Um, In other news, Henrik Lundqvist got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yay!
Hank is here.
Henrik Lundqvist, one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, well deserved getting into the Hall of Fame. First chance he got, and he made it in.
Mhm.
Unlike who didn't get into the Hall of Fame?
Alexander McGillney.
McGillney. McGillney didn't
Yet
get
again.
Yeah, what's the
What?
guy's name? Ken Campbell. Is he crying right now? Somebody
Dude,
check in on him.
Him and Buster Olney are just having bad weeks when it comes to New York sports takes.
Oh, forget about it.
in.
They're trying to do the chop with Blooper right now.
Buster Olney's got had a rough month probably. with
God,
New
that
York
guy's
sports.
He's just a
but
fucking idiot.
But seriously, Lundqvist making the Hall of Fame. I talked about it with Weeksy. You know, he made the speech like a year ago at his retirement ceremony that next stop is Cooperstown for him, wherever they call it in hockey. I know they call that for baseball, but Hall of Fame. Hank is there. What are your guys like most memorable moments? I saw the Rangers asking about this online on social media today. What's like your favorite moment?
You go first because mine's kind of a meme, and it's not the meme I posted; it's a different one.
I mean, if we're gonna go like an actual favorite moment, not all memes aside, for me, biasly, it's just the fact that he tossed me a puck during my first NHL game. So
Did he really?
that's yeah, during warm ups.
Wow.
It was against the Islanders. He tossed me a puck during my first NHL game. So that memory sticks out to me the most.
Did
That
you
is
toss
so
him back
sick.
a pack of Swedish fish?
No, I wish I did.
I saw one fan earlier this year hold up like a pack of Swedish fish to Zibanejad, and Zibanejad threw her a puck.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think so. I have a picture of it. I gotta look back at my phone. But what's your favorite moment, Nick?
I'm gonna do a little share screen so I can show you guys.
Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah, Evan's computer might just shit
I'm not
out
on my
him.
computer. Don't worry, we're on the phone now.
This
If
is
my
it right
computer
here.
works, I'm switching over.
This
Oh, I
yeah.
remember
Dude,
that.
when he sprayed Crosby in the face while he was going down to the ice, that shit killed me. I just loved Henrik Lundqvist, probably in all my years of watching sports, might have been the most fierce competitor I have ever seen in my life. I don't think I've ever seen anyone take sports as serious and compete harder than Henrik Lundqvist, and that's what I absolutely loved about him. That guy never took a game off. I can't think of a single time where I was like, man, Lundqvist is having a bad stretch here. It doesn't even look like he cares. I could never. I don't think anybody could ever have said that about Henrik Lundqvist. He took every single day serious.
He
I
was
love
truly
that
one
about
of a
him.
kind, and everybody I spoke to, everybody we've heard speak about him has said the same thing.
Mm.
No, for real, he was like that in practice too.
Yeah.
Like he made it really difficult for us. He would get so pissed when
Mm-hmm.
when he would get scored on. Like to do that for your entire career, every single day,
Mm-hmm.
that's true consistency. That's
Dude, it's
really, really
great.
difficult.
Kevin Hayes said on an interview with Spit and Chicklets one time that he scored a goal on Henrik Lundqvist in warm-ups, and Lundqvist was scream cursing at himself in the crease in freaking warm-ups before a game, and he was like wigging out in the crease had to give up a goal in warm-ups.
Mm. I have to say that my favorite moment will always be the waffle board save on Vanek
Yep,
in
the
Game
dance
6 of
move.
the conference finals. Fun fact: that game was the day I received my confirmation in church,
Oh
and
shit!
yeah,
God
yeah. So
dang.
May 2014. Never forget that the Rangers clinched that night. I had to make sure that when I went out to celebrate, that whatever restaurant we were going to had a TV so I could watch that
Mm-hmm.
game because I was not missing that.
No,
Not
nobody
missing
was.
that. I remember sitting there like nervous as hell, seeing him make that save and like wondering what the hell just happened.
Mm-hmm.
How did that? How? All those times like a puck deflected off of a defenseman, it
Mm-hmm.
just always seemed to go in. Like, and that seemed to be
Yep.
the only way Lundqvist would get beat in like 2012, 2013, 2014. He stopped that one. He
Yeah.
stopped that one.
In like famous fashion, where it's like probably the most memorable save of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of other saves he's made that you'll remember forever. But that one, like the importance of it,
Mm-hmm.
1-0 game. He gets the shutout. I will never forget that.
Of things I would do to be able to say that was the cup winning save.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Things I would do for that.
right. But you know what?
Pain.
He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Doesn't matter that he didn't get a cup. He's one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, if not
Mm-hmm.
the greatest goaltender of all time. He's certainly the greatest goaltender to have never won a cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly, right? So, I mean, well deserved for him. Good for him. Moving on to other Rangers talk. The Rangers introduced Peter Laviolette to the media on Tuesday. So we're recording this Wednesday. So that would be
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes out on Spotify, it'll be Tuesday for you guys. Um, yeah, so Laviolette coming in. They found his number 39 jersey. He played 12 games for the Rangers. I thought that was pretty funny. And Laviolette was kind of joking that that his family couldn't find it because like the Rangers had already gotten it, and that's why it was so hard to find. Something like along those lines. But you guys have any big takeaways from the press conference?
I
Anything
hope
that
he's not
sticks
lying
out?
about anything he said.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I said in my video, I've been saying it ad nauseum that it's words at the end of the day. Actions speak.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for them
And there
to.
he goes.
Am I here now? Am I good?
Gotcha.
You're
We're
back.
good? Okay, I was just saying though that yeah, actions speak louder than words, and we need to wait and see the product on the ice before we could, see if he was lying or not, telling the truth, and
Mm-hmm.
if he's really going to have the team play with that much compete. But at the same time, it is on the players as well. The players have to buy into the system, and they can't take they can't take the easy way out. And but like I've been saying, also, this is the last coach for this core. If the
Yep.
core does not buy into Laviolette, then I don't think they're going to buy into a future rookie head coach. I don't think they'll buy into any other head coach. So you might as well just trade them after that. But this is the last go for the core.
This
I
sort
agree.
of first phase of the rebuild would be a failure if they don't get their act together. I want to read a tweet from Vince Mercogliano. The message from Laviolette is clear. This team has lots of skill and talent, but to take the next step, they need to become a team that competes and works at a higher level. That's what he believes takes good teams and pushes them over the edge. So a lot of people a lot of people talk about how good the 93-94 Rangers were, right? And that the reason they were good was because they added the toughness at the deadline. They had Messier, they had Mike Keenan coaching them. They were tough, but I'm going to talk about my team, the 2013-14 Rangers,
Mm-hmm.
which had the aforementioned Henrik Lundqvist making that save. That team in the years prior under John Tortorella were the hardest working. That's the hardest working team I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
They did not have the skill level, enough of the skill level that they needed to take them over to the top. Alain Vigneault added that. Say what you want about him,
Mm-hmm.
how his tenure ended. I know he didn't use Buchnevich. I know he dropped the ball with Yandel on the third pair. I know the Rangers choked in 16-17 playoffs.
David
Alain Vigneault
Desharnais.
added a whole layer of skill to the team. He got the defense to jump in on the rush, and his coaching staff was incredible. Ulf Samuelsson, they did wonders on Ryan McDonough. Remember how good McDonough
Mm-hmm.
was?
It was the number one defenseman at that time. It was cut and clear too.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it as like this is like the reverse here. So the Rangers have all the skill, but not enough of the work ethic. Whereas in
100%.
2013-14, they had all the work ethic, but not enough of the skill. That's what I'm looking
What
at.
a great analogy. Look at this guy. He came prepared today. What a great analogy, Joey. I like that, dude. It literally is the ass opposite of what it was going into 13-14. And to tell you the truth, I hope it rubs off and works the same exact way. Except this time we, win the last game of the season, not lose it.
I see no reason for why guys wouldn't be accepting of a guy that's going to push their buttons like that. Because Zibanejad worked his ass off to get to where he's at. Kreider worked his ass off to get to where he's at. Kakko, even him, has pushed himself hard since he first came into the league. Remember when he first came into the league, he looked like a toothpick? He's the size of my pinky.
Yep.
Now he's like the size of like two of my fingers combined.
Dude, he's like Capo Swolko. That kid is fucking a behemoth now. Dude, his shoulders have shoulders.
Yeah. The guy has put on the muscle. He's done exactly what he's needed to. That kid just needs to start finishing. Like if he buries 50%, we've said it time and time again on this show. If he finishes 50% of his chances, he's going to be a 25, 30 goal scorer at least next season. And that's what the Rangers need. They need their younger guys to step up and play. And that leads me to my next question or next point. The next comment Laviolette made, he said on Kakko and Lafreniere, those young guys, I'm quoting him, those young players do need an opportunity to grow. They have to be not given anything, but given an opportunity to grow. Everyone wants to feel that responsibility. Those conversations will be had. So what this is telling me is that he may not necessarily be going to give those guys like power play time right away. They just need the opportunity to get the power play time. So here and there, they need to get a shift on the first unit, right? And that doesn't dismiss the idea that they're going to get 5-on-5 time. They need to get first and second line minutes. Absolutely.
I agree. I worry a little bit that was pretty much just a copy and paste, almost not verbatim, but pretty much exactly what Gallant said when he took over as coach. To tell you the truth, I almost fear like he gave himself a way out when he said he was saying he was going to do this. They get more ice time, but they have to earn it, which almost sounds like a backdoor way of saying, yeah, they're kind of just still a mistake away from just getting demoted in the lineup again. And I hope it's not the case. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because we haven't seen him coach the Rangers yet. But I just fear it's going to be more the same with that. Like, I'm not giving up on Laffy and Kakko, the players. I'm giving up on the Rangers' ability to develop them into better players than what they are now. That's what I'm giving up on.
The thing about they have to be given an opportunity. That sounds promising. What Gallant said was the fourth line. We're not going to put him on the fourth line because that's not
exactly
the way it's
what he ended up doing too.
I don't know about that. Like maybe the first year, there were times where he put Lafreniere and Kakko in the fourth line. But
even this past year, dude, remember he had
I know,
Lafayette
but there were
line?
times Lafreniere kind of deserved it.
Right. I agree.
Right?
I agree, but I just feel like he never even gave them enough of a look in the top six. And I hope with Laviolette coming in as the new blood, just says, fuck it, at least starts them in the top six and gives them an extended look so they can get their feet wet. Not like, hey, let's give them 3 games, and if they're not like a 2-point per game pace, like immediately take them off. Like, you're dealing with guys that are top-end players, and you're just stymieing them because you just dummy them on the third line. You give them 14, 15 minutes a night. I just did videos on Kako and Laffy, and both of their points and goals and assists per 60 went up as their time on ice went up, which is usually the opposite of what happens. Usually when players get more ice time, their points per 60, all their per 60 numbers go down. But theirs were trending upwards with more ice time.
Really? So what was it before? Was it like
Laffy's assists went up, his goals went up, and his points went up per 60. No, actually, no, his goals per 60 went down. His assists and points went up. Kako's per 60, all numbers went up. Every year he had more ice time. So, Kako's going into year 5. Laffy's going into year 6. Like, I think at this point they've paid their dues. They've waited long enough. They're both veterans of the league now. They're both on contract too. Give them the friggin' ice and sink or swim. If it's a 41 game experiment, so be it. We have nothing to lose because right now, all we have with Kako and Laffy are depreciating assets. Mm-hmm. Because listen, you have players, but in the grand scheme of what Chris Drury sees is he sees depreciating assets because they're not getting better, they're just getting older. And if you're not getting better as you get older, you're a depreciating asset in his world. So I give them more ice and just freaking, for the love of God, make it work. If it means putting Kreider or other guys, bumping them down the lineup, you have to do it because at some point you've got to start developing your young guys. The Rangers, pretty much the only team in the league I can think of that does not have young players that are popping off. Like you have the Jordan Kyrous, the Tage Thompsons, the Matthew Barzels when he first came with the Islanders. All these guys seem to work out just fine, but the Rangers just cannot develop shit, and it is infuriating.
I might as well chime in and add that Python is no longer on the stream because his Wi-Fi connection got the best of him. So we're gonna save him for next. He lost the battle, yeah. But the war is not over. He's still got to beat Winnipeg.
We'll avenge him.
Florida, yeah. So he'll get in. He'll get back in here at some point.
He got a 10-minute cameo. He did all right for himself today.
Yeah, 10-minute cameo. Not bad.
We'll let it out.
Talked a little bit about Winnipeg and Winnipeg and Henrik Lundqvist and Winnipeg. Yes.
Right. We hit on all 4 topics. Winnipeg times 3 and Lundqvist.
Yes. But also going back to Laviolette, another thing I want to talk about. This is another quote he had. There has to be a clear-cut plan on what we're doing. Mm-hmm. For me, it's always been a little more of an aggressive approach. Defense is always a priority. For me, it's about the attack. It's about pressuring. It's about puck pursuit. So what this quote is telling me is forecheck.
Yes.
Forecheck. All your guys gotta be aggressive. Not exactly like the Hurricanes, maybe, but
right.
The team's got a different style. They have skilled players on there. We were talking last week with Colin Stevenson about how you have East-West players, but there are times where you're going to have to play North-South. Look at the finals. Look at those 2 teams. The Panthers, when they had to, absolutely they dumped and chased the puck. They stayed the course with that style. Jack Eichel, remember that play he made in the Dallas series? Dumped the puck in, created a turnover between him and the goalie. They scored.
Did what it took to win.
Right? Even the skill players buy into it. Mm-hmm. Always.
You need
Gotta do it.
Bruce Cassidy was essentially an outcast in the NHL when he got fired by the Bruins because everyone seemed to hate him because the players wanted him out. And what does he do the first season with the new team? He wins the Stanley Cup with them. So clearly coaching like that is effective in the NHL. So I hope that Laviolette, I don't see any reason why Laviolette won't have success because I think if the Rangers played more aggressive, specifically against the Devils, I think that the Rangers, with the roster they had last season, if they played more aggressive and more consistent throughout the lineup and was a team, not a team of individuals, that there's no reason that we shouldn't have at least at minimum been in the conference finals this year with the roster we had.
And it's also evidence, like what you mentioned about Bruce Cassidy, it's also evidence that the retread route is not the worst way to go.
It's not.
It works. Mm-hmm. It works. Paul Maurice, guy's been around the league forever. Why? Because he's a good coach.
Exactly.
He may not have won in Winnipeg, but he got them to the playoffs, right?
Every
Getting
year.
them to the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. Never know what's going to happen. And yes, I am absolutely 100% still on the board that I would like Chris Knobloch to be here. I would
In
like
some
Chris Knobloch to
capacity.
be behind the Rangers bench at some point in the near future. But Peter Laviolette represents the best option for the Rangers right now.
Right.
You watch the Devils series, it just exploded in our faces. It just exploded. After scoring 10 goals in the first 2 games, the team fell apart. Why? Why did they fall apart? Is it A, the coach failed to adapt? Is it B, the players failed to play the way they needed to play? Or C, all of the above? And it
All the
is
above.
C, all of the above. The problem is you have players on the team that have full no movement clauses.
Yep.
So you're not going to ask Artemi Panarin, hey, waive your no movement clause right
Yep.
now, and we're going to
Mhm.
trade you. You cannot do that. How do you think, even if he does do that, how do you think the rest of the team is going to respond?
Pretty
Especially if you
poorly.
don't get a guy that says good back.
Exactly. Yeah, it would not be a good look, and that would be an ugly fallout.
Right? Like it would defeat the purpose, the progress the Rangers have made to this point. Last year, they made it to the conference finals. It was a miracle run, a Cinderella run. They were
Mhm.
not supposed to do that. They were not supposed to make it to come back from 3-1 down against the Penguins. They were not supposed to beat the Hurricanes when they went down 2-0 and 3-2 in the series. It
Mhm.
wasn't supposed to happen. They bought in and they did it together. It's a special group of players. You cannot take it away from them yet. I'm not taking that away from them yet. Even though they collapsed, I still
Mhm.
think at their core, they are a good group of players. And if this guy, Laviolette, could make them work harder and realize those dreams and that potential to lift the Stanley Cup, then
Mhm.
sign me up for it.
100%. I feel like Trocheck would fit perfect in Laviolette's system because Trocheck at his best was when he was separated from Panarin, playing the North-South game, and it sounds like that's a lot of what Laviolette's going to be implementing as a North-South system. And another thing too, I think another player that would benefit greatly from Laviolette's system is going to be Alexis Lafreniere, because the best Alexis Lafreniere hockey we saw is when he was mucking and grinding down low, winning puck battles in the corner, skating out in front, either making a pass or taking a shot, making a move. Because he's not the best skater, Lafreniere. Let's call a spade a spade. He is not the best skater. But my God, when he works with the puck down low or is one-on-one with the defender, he is pretty freaking scary. And I think a North-South game would benefit him greatly. You got to hope that other players are going to be able to adapt with that, because Artemi Panarin's slow skating east-west style might fall stale under a North-South aggressive system. So I wonder if Laviolette is going to have certain lines doing certain things. I wonder if he's going to want his top line being energy, his second line being maybe east-west, slow it down, make plays, pretty plays, and then third and fourth line, same thing, north-south, energy, energy, energy. It's kind of what you saw with the Vegas Golden Knights. With the first line, it was Eichel, Marchessault, and Barbashev, correct? I think that was their top line. And that was north-south. That was in your face, fast as hell. Then the second line, you had the William Karlsson and Riley Smith line that could create offense, but was mostly out there to shut down the other team's best lines. So a little bit more east-west. And the third and fourth line was in your face, north-south, causing turnovers, causing havoc, and scoring a lot of goals in the playoffs too.
I also like that Laviolette talks about the grit aspect. I
Yes, me
know
too.
we've gone back and forth talking about that thing. I've
Mm.
even heard some people say, like, oh, would you want Tom Wilson on the Rangers? What the hell? That's crazy, man. After everything he did. And you know what? I said, yes,
Yes,
I would
100%.
love Tom Wilson on the Rangers.
I
You know
think you and
why?
I talked about that too before the Rangers even got eliminated in the playoffs. I think we were talking about it during the playoff intro stream about what could happen in the offseason when we veered off the course a little bit. We talked about Tom Wilson, I think.
I can't remember that, but I mean, I would say yes. That is exactly the type of player the Rangers need.
Mhm.
But will it happen? I don't think so, because
They wouldn't trade him here.
cap space. He's going to have a new contract coming up. He's got over $5 million on his contract. The Rangers need to be shedding money, not adding.
Right.
They're not. The only money they should be adding to this core is on the guys that they already have. That goes for Miller and Lafreniere.
Yes.
Tyler Mott too. Okay, right. But
Got to re-sign Mott.
yeah.
But if you re-sign Mott, like I'm for it, but I would like to see a fourth line center signed because number one, I don't think Barclay Goodrow could or should be a center anymore. I think he's best as a winger, and I think Tyler Mott is mostly more effective as a winger than he is a center too. I think you got to put a center between those two.
Um, you know how we were talking about like identity, like the
Mm-hmm.
Rangers were lacking in identity, a true style of play.
Yes.
Well, here's another quote. This one comes from Molly Walker's Twitter account, but Laviolette. The compete inside the game is what makes teams great. It drives them to success. I don't think that's something you can just ask for. I think that you have to practice that on a daily basis. It has to become habit. It has to become your identity, part of the DNA of who you are, and it has to start in training camp. It has to be held to a level of accountability. When you have that and you have the skill, that's how teams push on and they compete for Stanley Cups, win Stanley Cups, become really good hockey teams. Now that, to me, is a great quote,
Mm-hmm.
but if it follows the same logic that the Rangers had, where they provided the best quotes after the games, during the playoffs, and they just fell flat on their face, then it's going to be meaningless. So
Right.
I want to see. I don't think Laviolette is the type of guy that would, fall flat on his face with those kinds of
No.
expectations. I think
Mm-mm.
he's already starting to talk to players. He's already in communication with them. He texted. He texted Adam Fox too. I think he met him already. Um,
He talked about that in his presser.
yeah. He thought that was pretty cool, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is which just goes to show you Rangers aren't a total failure at prospect development.
Right.
And then people will argue and say, "Well, Adam Fox came and he was already developed." Blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, Keandre Miller,
Right. Yeah.
Igor
Mm-hmm.
Shesterkin,
Even Braden Schneider to a point too.
Braden Schneider, Henrik
He's still
Lundqvist.
young. Oh, Hank the Tank. The Rangers are always good at developing goalies, though. How spoiled are the Rangers with goaltenders? Schockman, Richter, Lundqvist, Shesterkin, and all the guys before them.
Elite goaltender. That's like
Elite.
the thing that they've had. That's the thing. Um, but yeah, you know what? Just if you're a fan and you don't like the Laviolette hiring, if you think it's bad that he's the Islanders guy, like, okay, I understand that the Islanders side and that he played for the Flyers, he's a
Right.
lifelong rival. Let's give the guy a chance. Let's give the
100%.
guy a chance. Um, he's been a coach for over 20 years for a reason. He's got
Hmm.
750 wins for over 750 wins for a reason. And about the retread route once more, every coach starts from somewhere. Even
Right.
Peter Laviolette, he started somewhere. He said, what was it, over 30 years coaching?
Yep.
So he had to start somewhere. And Chris Knobloch will get his opportunity one day. And
I think Knobloch's the next coach. I think that unless another team poaches him, which I don't think the Rangers would let, I think they'll protect him the same way they protected Drury.
Drury. Yeah.
I think you'll see a route similar to that. I think the road is being paved where he's going to be the next coach of the New York Rangers, and I really hope that there are open lines of communications between the Rangers and the Wolfpack about putting systems in place that are identical in the NHL, that they are in the AHL. So when players call up, you get called up. You see what happens in Tampa Bay. When guys get called up, they already know what the systems are because they're the same in the minors that they are in the AHL, and they could fit right in. And I hope that we could see something similar to that, and I think we will.
And let's see how Laviolette handles Will Cooley and Brennan Othman. That'll be
Yes.
interesting to see. I asked Colin about it last week, and weren't really sure yet because the Rangers. We talked about it on when we had Python on
Right.
other streams about the Rangers could go bargain bin shopping,
Right.
or they could rely on Will Cooley or Brennan Othman. Those are the two options that they have in front of them.
I think Will Cooley and Othman are made for a Laviolette system. He likes that north-south aggressive hockey. I mean, especially Othman. I mean, we watch Othman highlights often. I mean, his whole thing is north-south aggression. And
Yeah.
same thing with Will Cooley. Dude, I think, to tell you the truth, I still think that Will Cooley is more of a lock to make the Rangers roster than Othman is because Cooley's older and has a year of professional hockey under his belt. But I think both players could develop very well under Laviolette systems. But I think this year, at least year one, you're going to see it more for Will Cooley than Othman because I do think Othman is going to get a year in the minors.
I believe they're both left wingers too, so somebody's
Yes.
got to play the right side.
Right. Although and hell, you can make it work. You move guys. If
They're hockey
you're in the
players,
NHL,
make
you're
it
good
work.
enough. Right. You're making $1 million to play hockey. You can go from one wing to the other. You'll be okay. If I
Mhm.
can do it on Tuesday nights playing beer league, getting my ass kicked, you can do it making $1 million.
Yeah, I almost feel like they should have Cooley start working the right side,
100%. 100%.
right?
Especially
So
especially because Othman's the more offensively driven player.
yes, you play to his preferences.
Right, exactly. One thing I do worry about Will Cooley, I want to make sure they develop him as a good player, not as a fourth line muck and grind guy. That's just going to be like a hitting and Pims guy, and that's
Yeah,
about it.
but
Because
isn't he like the kind of guy that, oh, I see what you're saying.
you know what you know what
Just
I
bet
mean?
in the
Like,
box and stuff.
right. Because Will Cooley has like, and I say it all the time. I had Ryan Gropp hangover at Will Cooley. I was down on him until I got to see Will Cooley play in person. When the Hartford Wolfpack were in town playing the Charlotte Checkers, Will Cooley is a very good hockey player, and I think there is definitely a path for him to play consistent middle six, maybe even top six NHL minutes for the New York Rangers one day. And I think out of Will Cooley, I can't think of a comparison off the top of my head, but I think you're looking at like at his maybe his ceiling. You never want to put a ceiling on a young man, but I think a ceiling you could see is like a 20 goal, 20 assist guy through and through that's hitting everything that moves and can play in all scenarios. And that is not a bad thing to have by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not bad. And you need two wingers for Heedle.
Yes.
We've looked at
Yes.
what he's had in the past too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid line was obviously the best, but at the beginning of last season, when you had the stacked two lines where
Mm-hmm.
Taco and Lafreniere were in the top six on the
Mm-hmm.
right side, you had uh, VZ and I think Barclay Goodrow were playing with Filipino,
Oh God. I
right?
did
And then
kind
you
of
would
remember
have
that.
Carpenter,
Yeah.
Hunt, and Reeves on the fourth
Oh
line.
my God. How crazy that like that was actually like a deployed unit at the beginning of the season. Dryden Hunt, Ryan Reeves, and fucking Ryan Carpenter, man. Oh my God.
Well, Hunt was a good fourth liner, but
Oh,
Carpenter,
I liked Dryden Hunt, dude, but it is just wild
yeah,
that like that is who we started with versus what we ended with.
yeah.
Like none of those guys were even on the team at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They went through so much. They added
Mm-hmm.
a lot to the team.
Dude, it goes to show that like what we see on day one has no I won't say no implications. It's not the end all be all to what you'll see at the end of the season. Like that's why I'm a big believer in, and I think again this works with Laviolette's system, that you need to carry at least 14 forwards and have 2 or 3 guys rotating in and out every single game so nobody feels safe in their job. I think having Jimmy Vesey as a 13th, 12th forward is great, but I think you need guys nipping at his heels so he doesn't feel like, I don't really need to play hard all the time. My spot's secure.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like have guys nipping at players' ankle. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong. Nothing bad has ever come from competition within a sports team. You want guys competing for that spot because you want them hungry to move up, get better, get that paycheck, get this, that, the other thing, because it's just going to make them work harder. And by them working harder, the team's going to get better by default.
Didn't the 13-14 Rangers do that with Dorsett, JT Miller, Dan Carcillo?
Yes,
those
dude.
guys?
Yes. And that's why Carcillo, when he was in the lineup, played his friggin' ass off because he knew he was a mistake away or a bad game away from Derek Dorsett being right behind him and taking a spot.
Yeah, that's a
Hint-
smart way of looking at it. Instead of
Mhm.
looking at it as, oh, why the hell is this guy in the lineup? And then when he
Right.
scores a goal,
It's like, wow, all right, I
it's
see
just
it.
like, oh, wow, okay. All right.
Well, dude, let's go even further back than that because you know what's funny? I was actually looking at this the other day. Was it 2011, 2012? What was the Rangers team that lost to the Devils in the conference finals? That was 11, 12 team, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up that roster real quick. So the 2011, 2012 Ranger, right? So they had, oh no, they don't do the player count. I think they had over 30 players play a game that season. And that was, in terms of a systems team playing to a system, was one of the most effective teams within their system I've ever seen the Rangers ever have. Like there was a system and they stuck to it and they did not stray from that system. That's not always the best thing ever, but you want to talk about guys playing for their jobs every single night. I don't think there was a team more committed than that 2011, 2012 Rangers team. Because, dude, you had the John Mitchell, Mike Rupp, Eric Christensen, Sean Avery, Zuccarello, Wojtek Wolski, Tim Erickson, Michael Sauer. He ended up getting hurt, of course, but Steve Eminger, Jeff Wojciechowski, Stu Bickel, Prust, Fedotenko, like Chris Newberry, like John Scott. You had all these guys that were fighting for a spot every single night. And it made everybody on the team better because you did not want to lose your spot to the guy that was just below you, that was just as hungry as you were to have that spot every single night.
Yep. Now, eventually, you'll you'll come to a point where you can't hold on to the guy forever. With
Right.
especially in the case of Avery because they had to let him
Mhm.
go. They
Right.
waived him.
Right.
But yeah, like that idea and like that was the one move the Rangers made that deadline was John Scott.
Yes. For a 5th round
So
pick.
they added that even more
Mhm.
too. Like that was a huge fourth line. Boyle, Scott,
Dude, Prust.
and Prust.
That
Yep.
was a goony 4th line, dude. That was like that could
Mike
have been the
Rupp.
Legion of
Mike
Doom.
Rupp, they
Oh,
could have
and
done.
Rupper. Right, I
Yeah,
forgot Rupper
Rupper.
too. Dude, yeah, I mean that was a different game back then. I mean that was the same year that we had that face-off brawl against the Devils. Remember that? It was Bickle, Prust, and Rupp against it was Ryan Carter. God, Ryan Carter got bloodied in that fight. It was
Yeah.
him. It was who was it? Carter? Was it Eric Bolton? Was he one of them?
I
Carter
don't know.
Bolton. I don't even remember. I forget the Devil. I think it was Ryan Carter, Eric Bolton, and I can't think of the third one right now. Kind of
I'm
want to look it
looking it
up.
up right now.
Yeah, could not because now I want to know.
Ryan
Bolton,
Carter, Cam Jansen, and Eric Bolton.
Cam freaking Jansen, dude. That was the Goon Squad back then. You like every time you watch a Metropolitan Division or back then, what was it before it was the Metro? It was the God, what was the name of
Atlantic Division.
the Atlantic Division? Right. You were guaranteed a fight every single night.
Hmm.
Every single night, the Rangers played an Atlantic Division rival.
Well,
That
at
was
least the
freaking awesome.
Rangers Devils rivalry is rekindled, but the Rangers
Yes,
cannot lose again to the
I agree.
Devils in the
I
first
agree.
round. They have got to come out on the other end, or else
Mm-hmm.
the rebuild will be a failure. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
I agree.
it's tough. It's tough. In other news, the Rangers have started filling out um their coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
First, Michael Pekka, former NHL great, two-time Selke winner, nominee for Selke Trophy, I think over 5 times, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be on the Rangers bench. He worked previously in the AHL with the Rochester Americans. He did good work there. Um, he's known for like his face-off work. Like I think he's
Yes.
career over 50%, like 52% on the dot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Rangers need that, man.
Yes.
It's been too long. Like the Rangers have sucked long enough in the dot. They get Trocheck,
Mm-hmm.
who's always good in the dot, and he's bad in the dot. Like
In the
what was he
playoffs, he
below
was
50?
in the playoffs, he was all in the regular season, I think he was 55.3. And in the playoffs, I'm not even sure if he was at 40%. He might have been below 40. It's
It's a
awful.
curse. It's a curse.
It is.
Selke Trophy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He was top 10 in Selke vote. Top 5 actually in Selke voting 10 times or
That is
7 times,
insane.
sorry. 7
I don't even
times.
think the Rangers ever had a Selke Trophy winner, did we?
Nope. I don't think
Because
so.
do you know who I think is going to benefit the most from Pekka? Is Zibanejad. Because
Vanjad.
Zibanejad's already a really good two-way center. Now you've got a guy like Pekka to give him even more pointers, man. I mean, who knows? I mean,
This is something
Zibanejad's still
Sapboy Steven is called out for a long
yes.
time. But go ahead. What you were saying.
Like, because Zibanejad's still like, he's by no means a kid anymore, but he's still a young man. He's not 30 years old yet. He's what? Zibanejad's what, 28?
Yeah. I
29
think
maybe?
so.
What? I can't think of it off the top of my head. He might be 30. Either way, he's still like he could still get better. All these players get better. Like I'm very happy with the Pekka signing. I think it's going to only help the penalty kill. It's only going to help the Raiders' defensive systems, and it's going to make everyone just better away from the puck. And that's
Vanjad is 30.
not 30. Okay, so well,
Yeah. Um. No, I love the hiring. I have no complaints about that one. The Rangers also hired Dan Muse, and
mm,
from what I haven't heard too much about him. But he recently coached the USA Hockey's national team development program, the under
mhm.
18s for the World Championships, alongside Chad Kolaric, who is a former
Former Ranger.
Ranger. He had like 12 or 13 games as a Ranger, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool. I remember that name. But he's going to be one of the assistants, I believe. I don't know too much about him though. Anything? Anything?
I tried to do research and I tried to use like certain words to filter like what kind of coach is he, and like I tried to find articles. it seems like he's a developmental guy, but it's hard to tell. And to tell you the truth, I think the developmental tag gets stuck on any coach that coaches junior teams. That's not always the case. Just because you coach juniors doesn't make
Rangers
developmental.
Muse says at NY Rangers Muse. Dan Muse has been hired by the Rangers. Here's what you need to know. Coached the 2023 U.S. Under-18 team to gold. Was an assistant for Laviolette in Nashville.
There's a connection.
He coached the Chicago Steel. He won a championship there. And he coached Yale University, and he won a championship there.
So winning coach, like they're looking for winners. You know what's actually a fun fact about Muse? I'm pretty sure that when Phil Housley was poached from Winnipeg to coach the Buffalo Sabres, Muse was Phil Housley's assistant coach replacement. He took Housley's spot that was vacated.
Yep, and Phil Housley is now going to be on the Rangers. He was an assistant to Laviolette with Nashville before 2 seasons as Sabres head coach. I think he was before Granado, right?
Yes.
Phil Housley. And that was back in my days of hating on the Sabres for being a colossal failure of an organization. Right. So I'm hoping Housley doesn't crap the bed here.
I mean, they were just in shame. There was nothing going right. And I don't think Housley's entirely to blame for that. Obviously, you put a little bit of blame on the coach, but I don't think he was the entire reason, especially because the young players, at the very least, the young players on the Sabres were having success under Housley. The rest of the team, not so much.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that Housley comes through here, but I still want to see Knobloch. I was saying that I wanted to see Knobloch on the bench. It doesn't look like that, but I like that they went with younger guys like Michael Pekka. That's great. That's a good move. I love that. That sounds like a jury hire. That's what Sapboy Steven was talking about. I think it's a good move. I think these are great moves for the Rangers. I'm surprised that they came so quickly. I'm surprised that this was going to happen.
It was a bit shocking.
Stevenson said like it's not likely that these guys would get hired before the Rangers extended offers to what's it called? Lafreniere and Miller. Or maybe he did and I just got it flipped around. I can't remember. But
I definitely like the early. I like the earliness of it because you know what? Get as many collective minds together as you can, and maybe Chris Drury could ask them questions like, "Hey, which players do you think would work well in your systems?" And then they could become off-season targets. I am a-okay with them getting ahead of it.
Guys, realistically, with what we have to work with, what guys can come and play for this team, for your team, right?
Who have you worked with in the past that you prefer? Like who knows? And you know what, too? Like maybe bringing in these guys could be a low-key way of like maybe there's some free agents that the Rangers are looking at that have relationships with the coaches that they hired that would help in getting players to come to play for the Rangers next season. Who knows?
Wayne Simmons.
Oh my God, the Wayne train.
Is he a free agent? I feel like
if he doesn't retire, I believe he is a free agent, but I think he's a bit over the hill. I think his playing days are over. I think he's washed, and the style he played, God bless him, he played for as long as he did, but I think his playing days are over. At least being a net positive player.
Yeah, he's usually like the cap friendly shows the deal at the very top, but it's at the bottom.
Because it expired, right?
It expired, but oh, okay, yeah, maybe that's why. But I'm not sure.
You already know who I want for the fourth line, dude. You already know who I got my eyes set on as 12-13 forward. Josh freaking Archibald. I'm telling you, people, do your research on Archibald, man.
Well, it's not going to be Monahan, that's for sure, because he just signed an extension.
He would have been a freaking great bargain bin signing, dude. If he could stay healthy, that is.
I don't think Drouin's the answer. They need checkers.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I talked about how balanced the Golden Knights were on the tweet, but like look at the construction of that lineup. Like they have two great players up front. Like they have Stone and Eichel.
Yep.
Right. And then you have a whole bunch of like great middle players. Like Chandler Stevenson is a great middle six player.
Fucking
Nicholas
awesome. Oh my God.
Roy, however you pronounce his name. He's a great like middle six center. You have Jonathan Marchessault, who just won MVP for the playoffs. You could argue that he's like a top line player, like a 100%. Top six player.
He's a 30-30 guy. Absolutely is.
You have Riley Smith and Ivan Barbashev.
Yep.
That's 5 guys right there. 5 guys right there for the middle of your lineup. that
Mm-hmm.
fills up your middle two lines really, really well.
Yep.
And then your fourth line, you have Brett Howden, who carved out a nice role for himself.
What a surprise.
Colasar, like that's a very, very balanced lineup, and the defense was solid too. They have Martinez, they have Shea Theodore,
Yep.
and they have Petrangelo. Like that is
Lot of
a
depth, dude.
yeah, and
Lot
they
of
had a
depth.
third string goalie in there,
Yep.
which means that if you have a good enough team out in front of whoever you have in there, you could win.
Just ask Mackenzie Skapsky.
Yes. Yes. Kenzie Skapsky. But yeah, like I'm not saying the Rangers should go and trade Shesterkin.
No.
Don't take my words like that. But if you build a solid enough team in
Mhm.
front of Shesterkin, you're gonna destroy everybody. You should.
100%.
You should.
Dude, they were so good. They had freaking Phil Kessel in the rafters, sitting in the seats. Like, Phil Kessel is still a really good NHL player, and he couldn't crack this lineup. It's a well-constructed team, and to your point, you're right. You've got a good enough team. The goalie's just your fail-safe at the end of the day. Like, and I don't think the Rangers have ever had that because we've had good goalie for so long that we've just had completely mid rosters, and that's why we can't ever win anything.
I think that also goes for Florida too. Like how what I was saying about the Rangers, how if you put a good enough team in front of them, then they'll go far.
Right.
Like Bobrovsky finally started playing the way that he needed to play,
Yep.
and they put together a team that's great out in front of him, and they
Mhm.
just demolished all the They destroyed everybody else. Really, like once, I mean, aside from that first, or aside from going down 3-1, they never looked back.
They
They
did
never
not.
looked back.
Made quick work of them. They made the Maple Leafs look like a friggin' minor league team.
Right. They
At least in
destroyed
some of
them,
those games they did. Like they seriously they took arguably the most potent offense in the entire NHL and put them to bed.
and they
Wrapped them
destroyed the
up.
Hurricanes too.
Oh my god, that was just that was mincing. And even the game they won against Vegas, I know it was a close game, but they went head to head with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I mean they got murdered that last game, but I mean they put up a friggin' fight. And they didn't even have the best roster. They just had good depth where they needed it.
The finals this year were just a testament to how you should build a team.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
A lot of people said that the Panthers were not built to win. I always disagreed. I always thought they had good players on the team. They just, something needed to click before
Right.
they figured it out. And they did. They got Matthew Tkachuk. That's the
Yeah.
thing. That was what separated them from everybody else. I know they gave up Huberdeau, who had 100 points. They gave up Uyghur, but in Huberdeau's place, you had Matthew Tkachuk, who had 100 points this year. Huberdeau had nowhere near 100 points.
They have 59, I think. 5-9.
Brandon Montour was a beast.
Yep.
A absolute menace to society.
73 points.
70-plus points this year. I don't know what Uyghur had, but Montour really, really stepped up this year and filled that void. So, essentially, they got the better player without giving up anything.
Exactly. And you know what, too? I think having a guy like Matthew Tkachuk is beyond just what he does as an individual. It's what he does rubs off on everybody else. People see him playing his ass off, they follow suit. Now they're playing their ass off. And then you've got a really good team. You got a 20-man roster playing their ass off every single night. Carter Verhaeghe from ECHL or 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, to 40 goal scorer. Lutz Serena ends up being a great fourth liner. Sam Reinhart, 30 goal scorer. Like all these guys.
Relying on Lundell.
Right.
Who is like a top
right.
pick.
Mm-hmm. God, what a mess.
Yeah.
I can't believe that guy slipped out of the top 10.
We are going to transition to the changeup, talking about the New York Mets. Hey everyone, this is Joey D from Ice Cold Takes, the Rangers podcast on the Old City Sports Network. I have something awesome to show everyone. Check this out. This is the whole shebang craft jerky gift bundle from Righteous Felon, home of the best beef jerky you've never had. It includes 12 jerky flavors ranging from spicy to savory to biltong. You also get 4 meat sticks in the bundle. If you're looking for a Father's Day gift, look no further. Consider purchasing this awesome bundle. It costs $69.99, but since it's over $50, you'll get free shipping. And on top of that, you'll save 20% if you use our promo code OCSN at checkout. I bought this bundle for my dad for Father's Day, and I can't wait for him to try it. Don't delay. Head on over to righteousfelon.com today and save 20% on your order with code OCSN. That's code OCSN at righteousfelon.com. Special thank you to Righteous Felon for sponsoring the Old City Sports Network.
Look at that little ad read.
All right.
I
Of
like
course,
that.
Change Up, sponsored by Righteous Felon. Go to righteousfelon.com and use promo code OCSN to get 20% off your favorite flavors of beef jerky. Best jerky around. Best jerky you've never had. But yeah, that offer was for, I mean, that offer still applies. It's past Father's Day. We were just talking, I had my uncle over, and me, him, and my dad were trying all the flavors out. There was like maybe 10 flavors in that thing. Awesome. Everything in the bundle is great. Awesome.
It's nothing better than 3 men, just jerking around. I like that.
Yeah. Be easy there.
I'm just playing. I do want to try it though, dude. You send us that link, and I was looking around at some of those flavors. That actually looks really freaking good. I don't even like jerky, but I would try it.
It's high quality. It's like, it's not, if you've ever had like the Slim Jim kind of thing. I forget what the brand is. The Deer something. I don't know.
Oh, the ones that are like in like Walmart and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about.
Jack Link's.
Jack Link's.
It's not like that. It's fresh, and you could actually chew on it. Like, it's not
really
like a rock or
right. You have to like literally cut it in half with a sawzall in order to.
Like... Yeah, like a sawzall. Yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's great. It's great jerky, and you should try it. And everybody listening to the show should try it.
I'm always down for a jerky.
To the change up, the Mets still suck.
Suck.
They are horrible when scoring 5 or more runs. Last year, they only lost like 4 or 5 games all year. This year, they've lost like 15 games. 15 games when scoring 5 or more runs. You know what that means? That means the pitching is atrocious.
And the team sucks.
Yeah.
The team is just awful, dude. It's getting so freaking hard to watch because here was the big thing, right? We all complained that Vogelback sucked, and Vogelback and Pham, they couldn't freaking do anything. Well, of course, the second Vogelback and Pham start doing everything, the players that were doing stuff when they weren't start to suck. It's like we just can't just like make it work so, like everyone just gets good at the same time. There is just not one thing the Mets can do right this season. And I can't wait for it to be over with because there's no way in hell they're making the playoffs this year. If they make the playoffs, it'll be nothing short of a miracle. And it's just like they have nothing, dude. The pitching is bad, the hitting is bad, the fielding is bad, the base running is bad. Everything is just bad. They're not like I was jokingly calling them the mids. They might even be worse than mid at this point. It's just
they're
like
the lulls.
It's like seriously, dude. It's like there's no hockey and there's nothing on. Like there's nothing I loved more in the summertime than like if I had a day off of work. My dad and I would just sit down like, oh, the Mets are on. Let's watch the Mets game. We don't even want to do that because it's like a job having to watch them play. It's like a mental task and it just wears on you and I hate it.
Seriously. Like I didn't even realize the Mets were playing this afternoon. 10-8 they lost the Astros. That first game, it looked promising. Pham is doing really well.
He's finally starting to wake up.
Pham is playing great this month. He's had a fantastic month. The pitching, on the other hand, is very sus. It's
so bad.
Like Scherzer had a great start on Friday. Verlander, not too much. He's not been doing the greatest recently.
No, Verlander is, and you know what? Verlander's walks and his WHIP is still 1.21, which is pretty above average for MLB pitcher. I think it's a fair statement, right? But man, it's just from where he was at a year ago. I'm not saying Verlander's not trying as much, but he just does not look nearly as good as he did a calendar year ago, and it's frustrating to watch.
That's Mets luck for you, right? You get the guy that's just 1 year too late.
1 year too late. I mean, it's what happens when you sign 40-year-olds to $40 million.
Happens with the Rangers. But I mean,
Right.
granted, those guys don't seem like they're slowing down. They didn't seem like they were slowing down anytime soon.
No, they didn't. They showed absolutely no indications of that. Same thing with Scherzer too. And Scherzer's not like doing that bad, right? So Scherzer's got a 1.16 WHIP. His ERA is a 4.04, which is fucking really high.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Getting
like,
Quintana back would be nice.
Yes. Because at the very least, it just stops Carrasco from even looking at the mound. Speaking of which, where's Carrasco?
I saw a meme the other day. It was from the movie Vacation, where it was the kid was like waving at like the girl,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden someone comes from behind and it's like puts a plastic bag over his head, and it's like pitchers, Mets pitchers waving at victories, and then it's Carlos Carrasco.
Yep. Just dude, his ERA is 6.34. Let's go on Baseball Savant. Let's just take a 2-minute little detour to Baseball Savant, and let's like look how bad Carlos Carrasco actually is. Because I mean, like seriously, I don't think has Carrasco had an outing where he's gotten out of the first inning without sacrificing a run this season. Has he?
I don't know. It always seems like he does. It always seems like he gets multiple runs in the first inning. Or as soon as the Mets go up, he lets in a run.
Right. Here, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see this. Okay. This man is making he's making $15 million this year.
What am I looking at here?
So see where my cursor is?
Yes.
Okay. So if it's blue, it's bad. 100 is the best, 0 is the worst. Okay. He's only got 2 categories where he's in the 50th percentile or higher. It's his extension, which is only in the 57th percentile, and curve spin, which is in the 79th percentile. His chase rate is awful. His velocity is bad. His spin rate is bad. His whiff rate is bad. His barrel percentage is awful. His expected ERA and expected WOBA is some of the 6th percentile.
What the hell is a WOBA?
It's some advanced metric. I don't know. I don't fully understand it. It's something about batting average. I forget. I think it's what it is. But either way, it's the stat that Giraffe, Neck Mark, and Wardy and a lot of the MLB content creators seem to focus on, and it's pretty indicative of how well a player is. But we'll look at this, right? So strikeout rate, 95% of pitchers in the MLB, 95% of pitchers in the MLB have a better strikeout percentage than Carlos Carrasco.
Wow.
Expected batting average, 88% of pitchers have a better expected batting average than Carlos Carrasco. Like 56% of pitchers have a better chase rate. Like this is how bad Carlos Carrasco is. And then we'll just put it against a pitcher like Shohei Ohtani so you could see what the difference is. Shohei Ohtani will be right here as soon as it loads. So look,
holy crap!
Yeah, you see the difference?
Oh my god!
Now I believe this is his hitting. So this is what it looks like from a hitting perspective. Yeah, so because we're looking at his hitting, we want to look at his pitch highlighter. I think is this it? No. Hold on. Let's do something. Let's look up an actual pitcher. Like who's the best pitcher in MLB this season? Is it the dude in Miami? No, not him.
It's not Alcantara.
No. Corbin Burns. He's a good pitcher. We'll look up Corbin Burns just as a reference. Cy Young winner last year.
See Ohtani's pitching metrics.
I do too. I don't know how to get it though. I'm very, very novice at looking at this. Here, Corbin Burns.
Holy crap! Yeah.
Now do you see the difference?
Yes. Yes.
So
Corbin Burns is in the highest, the higher percentile in everything.
Right.
Strikeout percentage, curve spin, fastball spin.
Right. And then from a batter's perspective, Because I think Aaron Judge has the best metrics of any MLB player. I don't even think it's close. Like, look at Judge's metrics. As soon as it pops up. Like, see, look.
Everything is 100.
100 or 0. See, like, his whiff percentage, right? So 98% of players don't swing and miss as much as Judge do. But Judge barrels up the ball, has higher exit velocity, max exit velocity, all this stuff better than anybody else in the league.
So he swings and misses at more pitches than anybody.
Than 98% of the league, yeah.
Oh,
So he's the
okay.
so
That's not good.
98% of the league is better at hitting the ball. He swings and misses more than 98% of the league is basically what that is. He strikes out more than 87% of the league, and that's basically what that is. But then we let's look at Max Scherzer, right? Because we just talked about Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. Let's like their advanced metrics are not awful, but they're not great either. I'll pull up here in a second. Look. At least his metrics are showing a guy that's maybe just having bad luck. His spin rates are up. His percentage, like he's not doing bad.
His walk percentage is up too. Like
yes.
That means he walks fewer batters when it's like that.
Right. If his walks were in the blue, it would suggest that he's walking more batters because it's in the red. He's not walking much, and that was always a big concern with Max Scherzer was he was walked a lot of batters, give up a lot of home runs, which he still gives up a lot of home runs and hard hits because his barrel percentage is the 29th percentile, which means players are batting.
He was always like that, though.
Right. Always gives up the long ball. And then Verlander, I believe his metrics were pretty bad. Yeah, his metrics are really bad.
Last year, what were they like?
I wonder if you can go back a year.
I wonder if you have to pay for that.
You might. I'm honestly not sure. I don't know.
That's crazy how much detail these guys put into that.
Oh, it's crazy. But those just little numbers like that just shows you like the Mets are just so ill prepared like to be a playoff team. We don't have it's very frustrating.
I always frowned upon baseball analytics just because Don LaGreca said, and I love Donnie Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just that's absolutely mind blowing. Like the
baseball savant, dude.
Carrasco and like the best pitcher. Like how far.
How much?
Like it's okay. I understand. Like no, you're not gonna have the best pitchers. Like you're not every single pitcher is not gonna be the best pitcher. But you have to have somewhere in the middle.
Right.
You got to have average pitchers there. You can't if you're not gonna have every single guy be the very, very best that no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, but Pokemon reference for you. But you got to have guys that fill in the gaps, like the average guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not
like literally the worst.
Below the sucking average, like the
slightly
average
above.
to slightly above average. I see.
And we don't have that. We're not getting it from anybody. If you really want to take a deep dive and kill a couple hours of your time, go on Baseball Savant and look at every single New York Mets player. It's mind-boggling. And you know what? There are some players that have.
Are they really bad or are they?
Some of them are really good, but some of them are fucking awful. Like Pete Alonso has like a pretty all over the place Baseball Savant. Jeff McNeil is pretty consistent throughout. Lindor is surprisingly mid. Like really not great metrics.
He hasn't been good recently though.
Has not. But his metrics on there were never really good. Vogelback is kind of all over the place because he gets on base a lot.
Yeah, because he walks a lot.
Right, and he doesn't swing and miss as much as it feels like he does. But it's cool.
He's pretty good. He has pretty good knowledge of the strike zone. I think. Right?
Yes, he's a smart player. He's a very smart player, and thank God he's heating up. He's playing very well as of late. But just if you have time, just go on Baseball Savant and surf around a little bit. You'd be interested. It's interesting what you could find on there.
Yeah,
it's not the end all be all, but it's a good suggestion of what players are.
All right, so that concludes our change-up talk, and that concludes this episode of the Ice Cold Takes podcast. The quest for Rick DiPietro still continues.
Get on here, Rick.
Get him on here. We will get him on here. We got Kevin Weeks. We got Ryan Callahan. We got Mike Rupp. We got Bill Pito. We got them all. We're going to get Rick DiPietro on eventually. Rick, Get on the show. All right. Well, anyways, Ice Cold Takes fans, thanks so much for listening. Nick, thanks for joining me.
Hell
Good
yeah.
talking to you, man.
Always.